So, after a recent purchase of a computer that I'll be sharing with you all at a later date, I kind of have developed a slight obsession with water cooling, and I kind of want to experience, something that I've kind of strayed away from for years. Um, just a little background: I've been building computers and playing, PC games for probably like 12 to 15 years. Well, I've been playing PC games a lot longer than that, but like having hands inside of a computer, probably like 13 years ago. Um, I say all that to say, I've never really seen the appeal with water cooling personally, until recently, just because it's kind of complicated and a lot can go wrong if you don't know what you're doing, and you're potentially, putting water near a computer that you spend a lot of money on. But yet and still, I've kind of come to learn that it's one of those things that kind of falls in the same vein as modifying your car or something similar, where although unnecessary, it doesn't mean that it's any less cool or takes away the value from it. So I've come to respect water cooling a lot more recently, and with the newfound respect that I have, I did a bunch of research into all the water cooling companies, and I kind of wanted to start myself out with a water cooling kit. Not really an AIO. I've never liked AIOs, and even after my new found love for water cooling, I don't really like AIO. But that's a discussion for another day. One thing that I came across in my search was this. This is a Swiftech H220 Apex Ultima, and this has an Apogee GTZ water block. This kit's from around 2009, and I feel fairly confident saying that this is more than likely the last kit of its kind, fully sealed up in a box. This company is really special because they're an American company and they've been in the water cooling business for a very long time. Late 90s, early 2000s, quite a long history and quite a long lineage of products. So after finding this online, and I think I would say that I got a really good deal on it. I have kind of a horror story of obtaining this because I had an issue with FedEx, and I kind of always have an ongoing issue with FedEx delivering to my home. I don't necessarily know why, but FedEx. So a lot of rambling over. I want to share this unboxing experience with everyone, and I thought that it would be pretty interesting to unbox this and install it into a computer. So you guys will join me for that. So as you can see, this includes an Apogee GTZ water block, a MCP 665-B, which is a basic version of a Lang D5. You got their microRes Rev 2. You got a 240 millimeter rad with their rad box, which allowed you to mount that on the outside of your case, which is pretty special for the time. Even now, most people don't typically do that. You got you got 8 feet of 7/16 inch soft tubing. You got 40 inches of smart coils, which help keep kinks out of your soft tubing. You also got 2 ounces of their coolant and a syringe of Arctic thermal compound. This is actually compatible with quite a few CPUs. You can use this with a socket 775 CPU, an AM2, an AM3 CPU with the right mount, LGA 1366, which this is what this block was really advertised for when it initially released. H220 Apex Ultima water cooling kit. It's actually a pretty thick instruction book, 17 pages. So here are the smart coils right here, and these just keep the kinks out of your tubing again. You get a nice funnel for the filling of reservoir mount. So this is the MCP665B. So this is the basic version of a Ling D5. This doesn't have the voltage selection on the bottom, but this is perfectly fine. And this is still considered the de facto standard and basically the pump that everyone uses. If not this pump, then it's the Lang DDC, which is the smaller pump that has the higher pressure. I believe that's the difference between those two. I'm still fairly new to water cooling, so don't quote me on that. And their coolant seems to have held up. This is the Hydrex by Swiftech. You're supposed to mix this with 0.5 liters of distilled water and has ethylene glycol in it. Here's your 7/16 tubing. It actually feels pretty nice. Get some fittings. And you also get mounting hardware, some two-sided sticky Velcro for the pump. So if you wanted to, they did include two different types of fittings for the pump, which is nice. And this is the Apogee GTZ water block. This is actually one of the best blocks of its time. So this is going to be the LGA 1366 mounting plate. You get a couple of different types of fittings. Get some thermal paste and some clamps. Always helpful. I will say that this is very well packed, even despite its age. Extremely well packed. You get some more double-sided tape here, some more mounting hardware. I believe this is for the radiator. Oh, so you get two mounting brackets for the reservoir. Some more mounting hardware. And I'll show you the block itself. This is the GTZ, or the GTZ, whichever you prefer. This pump was also very special for its time because of its this pump res combo, and this block was also special for its time because of its mounting hardware. Because typically you would see people, or basically you would use a long screw, and you would use two washers to fasten the initial mounting hardware to the block rather than having a backplate. This was innovative because it came with its own backplate and its own self-torquing screws, so you didn't have to worry about getting a bad mount. Here's the backplate. And look at that smooth finish. It feels criminal pulling this off. I'll do that a bit later. Here's the reservoir. That's actually really pretty. It's very pretty. Comes with a fill port on the top. You could actually add your own drain to this depending on where you add it. That's nice. And we have the radiator to end the unboxing, along with another piece of radiator mounting. Oh, they wrapped everything in paper. It's really nice. Wow, that's nice, shiny. Weirdly enough, I don't believe that there's any videos of anyone unboxing and installing this kit on YouTube. Strange, because it was very well reviewed in its time, so you would see a lot of people showing off their rigs with this kit. Comes with a lot of hardware on the inside and a lot of wiring. These are 12 volt to 5 volt adapters for your fans. These are 3-pin PWM fans. These were the standard fans that Swiftech had been using at the time. Got the name, I'll just put them up on the screen. And this is the mounting hardware for the radiator itself. They give you they basically give you everything you need. Well, they do give you everything you need. You also get some 12 volt to 7 volt adapters. Slow down your fans, want your system even quieter. Wow. Wait, is this a cutout for tubing? Wow. That's really cool. So basically, if I'm correct, yeah, that almost fits. I don't know about that at the bottom, but I believe this is the cutout for the back of your motherboard. So that way if you decided to mount this 240mm rad on the back side of your case, then that would be how you would wrap that. This actually feels very nice to the hand. Get 2 fan grills. I believe these are 3/8 inch fittings. And another thing, just to check, I believe these are and you look inside there, I believe this is a copper radiator. And I can read the documentation for that, but it's a nice 240mm rad. That's a nice weight to it. Also, something really nice that Swiftech did for the time was, in order to cut down on waste, what they decided was that if you needed different mounting hardware other than LGA 775 and socket 1366, then you would simply just shoot them an email within 90 days of purchasing this, and they would send you whatever bracket that you needed for free. Which is actually a really nice thing of them to do. Unfortunately, since this is well out of date, you're not going to be able to source that directly from them, but they are available used and new old stock on different marketplaces. Now that we're back, so since this kit predates this motherboard by quite a long while, we had to get a little bit creative with our mounting solution, but suffice to say, this will certainly work and will certainly fit into the case. So what I have right here, this is a Noctua NHD 14 backplate, and then I also have the nuts. I think these are M3 or M4 nuts that attach to the mounting screws. And what I learned that I can do with this Z270 board, so it's 1156, is that if I line the mounting holes up on the bottom with the correct mounting holes that you would use if you were trying to mount this to the NHD 14. So line up those holes. I can slide in the screw to the mounting hole, and then I can simply add one of these M3 nuts to that. So just make sure I have it lined up. So as you see there, that's on there. That's not going anywhere, and that'll fit in the case. Not obstruct any of the standoffs. So I'll repeat that process for the rest of the board and get the block mounted. This block also has a specific mounting orientation requirement, so it's supposed to be facing like so. So now that we have our block mounted to the board with my very funny solution, definitely works and doesn't flex the board, which is perfect in this situation. So what I'm going to do now is install the board into the case, which I just so happen to have a case on hand. This is a Fractal Design R4, I believe, or something like that. I'm not 100% certain because this is a case I got used. Just has. Okay. So after much debate myself, I decided I'm going to mount radio XL at the top. I know that this mount isn't 100% fit for this type of. Actually, I don't have this right. So let's do a couple guidance screws. That's not right. Okay. The only thing I did off camera was do the tubing and cutting and fitting just because I don't want to get judged, and it's my first time really building something like this on my own, and I know that there's a lot more experienced people when it comes to stuff like this, and rather not be scrutinized on my knowingly mediocre skills. So I got everything all tubed up. Yeah, that looks about right. I don't think that looks half bad. A pretty basic loop, but should work. I pulled on all the tubing and I don't think anything's going anywhere. So instead of wasting the coolant, and I could use this at another time, I actually really do want to use this coolant though. Um, since this is gonna be the first run, I'm not gonna run that coolant yet. I think if tomorrow everything turns out good, then I'll run the coolant.